What's up, trash talkers? What's going on, Gruntworks Nation, and anybody else watching? If you're hacking into it, good for you. Anyways, we took a nice long vacation, and it kind of reminded me of a meme where a company sent out an email that said, "We apologize for the delay, but we do not apologize for our employees enjoying the holidays." All right. So again, we take our little break, we get refit, and then we get to start off with something nice and easy and informative before we get into the trash talk hour on Saturday and our fight picks on and NFL picks on Saturday morning. But I'm the Big Earl, and with me, of course, from the Veterans Mortgage Source is the Zach Farkas. Now, Zach Farkas is, if you've watched these shows before, he is a captain, retired, right, and a great human being, and he has his link on our website, veterantrashtalk.com, and he will give you free loan advice. Now, if you check out a lot of this stuff on Facebook, you got to pay for it. All right. And we don't charge you. Zach doesn't charge you because he's a veteran. And we're just here to help y'all make money, because our overall mission at Veteran Trash Talk is to curb the veteran suicide rate to at least below the national average, because it is a society problem. It's not just a veteran problem. Now, with that, part of that mental health and everything else, the stressors, is finances. And we all struggle with it, especially after the holidays. It's just brutal. Sometimes people spend way too much money to make other people happy. And it's just, now you're in a rut. But anyways, pay attention to this. We're going to teach you again how to, maximize your VA loan benefit that you earned. And like we talked about last month, we talked about, buying multiple properties with it and freeing it up like I'm doing right now, which we hit a little bit of a glitch. Maybe probably won't talk about it, but it's just a Texas law. But they give you the free advice, and then it helps you plan your future. So I know next year what I can do, all right, based off of the guidance that the Veterans Mortgage Source has given me. Now, let's see if I get on the live here. I don't know if Chris got it on Veteran Trash Talk, and he did. So let me click on it here. Wait, what says Kevin Fisher? We are talking about the VA loans, homie, and how to use your VA loan benefits. So again, Zach Farkas, retired captain, welcome to your show, because he is our sponsor. That's his logo. So he gets to do this because he's the sponsor. But there was a question in the event that's more of a realtor question, but a young lady asked, how is earnest money calculated? Like what do they just come up with that number? Is it a made up number? Who does that? If you can answer that before we get into the show.
Yeah. So what I always say to people is, I actually don't use a house as an example. But let's say you're selling your car and the market value of your car is $30,000. You have one guy that comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'm going to buy your car $30,000 cash. And, we can complete this transaction on February 1st. You have a second guy that says, "Hey, I got a loan. I got 15,000 cash and 15,000 on the loan. And I'm going to give you $3,000 to show you that I'm serious about buying your car on February 1st. And then you have another guy that says, "Hey, I'm going to give you 5,000 cash. I'm going to get a loan for 25 grand. But to show you how serious I am, I'm gonna put the 5,000 down as good faith funds." So earnest money deposit, there's not a calculator. Really what it is, it's you and you're saying, "Hey, I am this dollar amount serious about buying your house." So when it comes to earnest money, my number one recommendation is your realtor representing you gets paid when your house records, right? So your realtor is going to advise you in such a way so that you get your home. Okay. If you tell your realtor, "Hey, I'm looking for a deal and I'm okay underbidding and all that stuff," ultimately what goes on your contract is what you want. But if you got to have the house, then you should put your best foot forward. And I'd say put a larger earnest money deposit down. Every state is going to have a different real estate contract and different ways to get out of your contract. That way you can get your earnest money deposit back. So, for instance, in Hawaii, a big one is the home inspection, right? So we have two earnest money deposits in Hawaii. The first earnest money deposit is given once you get in escrow, and the second one is due a certain amount of days after you review your home inspection. So what I tell my clients, because everybody wants kind of third party validation, is the realtor be telling them, "Hey, like you should put, this is a strong offer. If you put this much earnest money deposit, it's 1,000 and then 1,000 initial, 4,000 additional. Ultimately, your real estate loan officer, or real estate loan officer, sorry, your real estate professional, your realtor is going to advise you in such a way that, you're going to put your best foot forward with the amount of funds that you have on hand.
There you have it. Hopefully she's watching. Otherwise, I'm sure she'll click on it again and watch the beginning of it so we nailed that out. Again, if you're watching, ask your questions about the VA loan. Rumors you've heard, all kinds of stuff, because every show we got somebody saying, oh, you can't do that. And then we're like, oh, Zach, like, actually, yeah, you can. Or no, you can't. And so, again, people think, well, just for example, they said that the credit score doesn't matter. Well, to a certain extent, it doesn't. But as Zach talked about 2 months ago, it does. Right. So then there's ways to increase your credit score that we went over. So go back on our YouTube channel and watch the other ones if you want to get caught up on your credit score and stuff like that. With that, remember, we sell stuff. It's kind of cool. All right. So go on veterantrashtalk.com or gruntworksclothing.com and put in the code VTTGW and get yourself a discount as well, and help us out, help us get the mission as big as possible as we can. So what we're going to talk about today, what Zach's going to talk about, is factors that determine interest rates and the forecast for 2022. Now, as I've learned at the Yale of the Southwest, which is UTEP, right, and in my master's degree, where they talk about cultivating a narrative change and selling a story to people, all right? What you want to never do to millennials is use the burning plate issue. Like, you have to do this right now or you'll die. Kind of like the vaccine, right? Like, a lot of millennials didn't take it because they just don't buy that, because we have technology, right? So if you're saying, oh, interest rates are going to go to 17% tomorrow, well, we're just going to go online and look at it, right? And then probably, get confused. So this would be a cool topic. Talk about how interest rates are calculated and what are the predictions for 2022. So Zach, wait, before we get into that, all right, can the VA loan be used for a second home or off-grid home? Ben asked that question. If you go back to our last episode, we talked about that last month, but if you want to hit that up real quick, Zach, before you get into the factors that determine interest rates and 2022 predictions.
Yeah. So a second home in real estate talk, in that jargon means that you're not going to intend to occupy it as your primary residence. So the answer would be no. However, if you're not speaking in industry terms and you own a home and you want to buy a second home using your VA loan, then the answer would be yes. To use the VA loan, you have to intend to occupy the property within 60 days and intend to occupy the property for 1 year. And the keyword there is intend. And then an off-grid home, yes, you can. You just have to make sure it complies with, VA regulations. So it depends on how off-grid we're talking. Like, I know on the Big Island, like, you can, they harvest their rainwater around Volcano National Park. And then if you happen to have solar panels, I think that would constitute as pretty close to being off-grid. And I've done loans there and it's gone just fine. So if you're
how can he get a hold of you? How can he get a hold of you to ask this question to you specifically? Zach, Zach.Farkas or Zach Farkas?
Zach.Farkas@vmsloans.com. I'll put it in the chat, or maybe I won't. Hold on. Is there a chat?
Yeah, there is. I'll do it.
I don't know how to work this thing.
All right, I got it in there. And then Kevin Fisher asked, case in point, I'm about to place my rental property on the market. How should I prepare myself for the upcoming ordeal?
So if you're about to sell the home, I would say, if it's tenant occupied, I'm actually selling one of my properties right now. It's tenant occupied. If you're about to sell the home, there's really no issue. You just have to give your tenant, I think, at least a 45-day notice. If the tenants have vacated, I would ultimately defer to your realtor. And if they say, hey, touch this up, touch that up, but you're selling at a pretty good time. It's a pretty hot seller's market. So it should be, that's why I'm selling one of my properties, because it's just, I didn't do anything. My tenants were in there. It showed a couple times. It went on market and it's going to sell. So ultimately I'd defer to your realtor on what to do, because they're going to know specifically about the property. But generally a fresh coat of paint can go wonders on the inside and outside. And then just make sure any existing issues are fixed, because you're gonna have to disclose that to the buyer.
All right. Isaac says underground bunker is the only thing I'm interested in buying. And I was like, hey, well, Zach will get you a loan for it. So go ahead and hit him up and get you a bunker.
If it can be done, I'll do it.
But all right, let's get into we'll go to Q&A here in a little bit, but let's get into the talking points, which is factors that determine interest rates and the 2022 predictions. And go ahead and pour yourself a glass of 10th Mountain Bourbon. All right, go there and put it in VTT, get a discount. It's good stuff. What do you got, Zach?
It is, yeah, definitely. Okay, so we'll talk really quickly, and I know we've kind of talked about some different things like your debt to income ratio, your loan to value on this stuff. So your interest rate is really going to be made up by 3 factors. Number 1 is going to be your credit score. Number 2 is going to be your amount of down payment or lack thereof. So most people on the show are probably going to be doing a no money down VA loan. That's what I've done for everything. But if you put a little bit of scratch down, your interest rate actually will get better. So the amount of money you put down does affect your interest rate. Generally, the best interest rates on the market for any loan product, VA, conventional, investor, second home, your best rates are going to start at 25% down. Now, that being said, I've still always put no money down. But it is a factor, right? And then ultimately your debt to income ratio. So the amount of money you make compared to the amount of debt you hold, including your housing payment, that's going to be how your interest rate is generated. So right now, I'll kind of segue into interest rate predictions for this year. So the number 1 driving factor for interest rates this year is going to be inflation. So I'm going to use a little bit of historical data. There was a really bad housing crisis or recession in 1980, 1981, 1982. That was ultimately caused by
Jimmy Carter.
Ultimately caused by there was a big loan. Like a lot of people weren't paying like personal loans, like it wasn't like house loans, right? We'll get into 2008, but during that recession or leading up to that recession, inflation rates were 7 to 14%. Okay. So what the Federal Reserve did, and that's kind of like the nation's bank, and they do control some stuff with our economy. They rose mortgage interest rates to 12 to 18%. So that's a big number. Right now we're in the low 3s, which is really awesome. Interest rates, if you look it up in the 80s, were anywhere from 12 to 18%. And then the inflation response, that dropped from 14% to 5%. Okay, so by raising the interest rates, right, it gets a little bit more expensive. It's a tool that the Fed uses to raise interest rates. Okay, so that did work, right? The Federal Reserve raising the interest rates. Okay, then if we go to 2007, 2008, inflation went from 1.75% to 3.5%. Okay. Alan Greenspan was the Federal Reserve chairman. He rose interest rate or mortgage rates went up from 7 to 8.5%. Sorry. I get a lot of phone calls. Sorry. And then the inflation response after the mortgage interest rates went up, they went from 3.5 to 1%. Right now, we have seen in the past 2 years, inflation go from 1.75% to, depending on the report you look at, to 7%. Okay. So the prediction this year is there's going to be 3 interest rate hikes. Okay. And then the prediction is that by 2024, there will have been 8 interest rate hikes, probably taking us back to the high 4s. Now, that's just a prediction. We don't know what's going to happen. But if you look at, kind of the Federal Reserve and the stance they've taken on combating inflation, the number 1 tool that they have to combat inflation is to raise the interest rate. So even this week, interest rates have gotten not much worse, but they've gone from like high 2s on VA loans, mid to high 2s on a VA loan to low 3s. So it's already starting. And then the prediction is that March of this year will be the first interest rate hike of the year, followed by another one right around August, and then one more before the end of the year. So,
so what is that to the, like, I understand interest rates pretty well, but to somebody that doesn't, which is perfectly fine, because I didn't 10 years ago, I had no clue, right? I didn't have any idea why it was going up or anything like that. So probably the average veteran home range is probably from like 160 to 300,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably something around there. We could probably look it up. There's people more successful, whatever. But what are they looking at? Because again, we don't want to say you have to do it now, but
Right.
what's like on like a $200,000 loan, if they wait a year and it goes to 4%, right? Then is that something that they should probably calculate into? Don't rush if you don't have the money, but this is what you should be looking at paying if you wait about 6 months. So let's just say like a $200,000 loan, and let's say it jumps to like 375 or 4. Can I put you on a spot with the quick math?
No, that's fine. I can do it right now. So let's say, you get an interest rate today and it's around a 3% on a $200,000 house. You're looking at about an $843 payment. And then if it goes up 1%,
because as he's doing the math, remember, don't rush into stuff, but just understand that, like, as these things fluctuate because of all your free, it used to be Trump bucks and now it's Biden bucks, but all these things coming out that is just, you think it's free money, right? Like that's inflation. Like when they print it and then they control it by, like Zach said, by increasing the interest rate, making it harder for you to borrow money, right? Because they've already printed out enough of it. So what do you got there on a 4%?
Yeah, 4% it would be $954. So that's about $111 difference a month. So that is different to different people. $111 to some people may not be a lot. To others, it may be a lot. But the way I look at it is, yeah, I mean it's a raise. I mean, it's not, like I said. I mean, my stance will always been, because it has always been, it's worked well for me, is buy when you can, even if you think you're not ready. If you're paying rent, you're ready. If you're getting BH, you're ready. That's my position, because it's worked out well for me and my clients. But
it's worked out well for everybody that has ever paid rent in the Army and switched to a house. Like,
right.
Like it's worked out well for everybody, minus people who got like divorced or stuff like that. But and if you're renting in the Army or the Marines or the Navy, all right, well, we'll include you guys because you're veterans, I guess. But like, because the Stone Vet just commented, he goes, "Damn, I don't close on my house till April." What is the typical like lock-in rate for that? Like, shouldn't he be locked in for April?
So it's different for different banks. I've worked at 4 different lending institutions in 4 years, and the most I've ever been allowed to lock a loan was 120 days. And then currently right now, the most I can lock in is 90 days. So I would just mess around with a date calculator. Whoever the commenter was, Stone.
It's a Stone Vet. Yeah. Juan, he does our Marine Corps Wednesdays podcast. Do you,
nice.
Yeah, if you haven't checked that out, guys, go on our YouTube channel or our Facebook and check out the Stone Vet. He's real funny. Great guy. His microphone. It was the number 1 Marine podcast. We were the number 1 Army podcast, but that's not a big. I mean, nobody's really like comparing, but like we are bigger than you. So with the interest rate, like you said, that's a good point. I think people need to understand. Call it a Book of Earl segment here. Stop wasting money. Right, out of all the things we waste money on, there's only a few things that really, really are really bad. Because you always hear that joke about the person that says, "Hey, do you smoke cigarettes?" Somebody says, "Yeah." How much does it cost? How much is a pack of cigarettes? Oh, $6. How many packs do you smoke a week? 30. Right? Say you're just a chain smoker, right? So it's like it's $180 a week times 4. That's $720 times 12. You could have a Porsche, and then I'd be like, "Do you smoke?" And they say, "No." Where's your Porsche? Right? Like so. But real estate, a house, putting money into something that you own that will not go down in value unless it's like, part of like the 1960s gerrymandering. But like other than that, it's not going to go down. So Zach is 100% right. And for those of you watching for the first time, Zach is trusted and verified by Veteran Trash Talk. So hit him up at zach.farkas@vmsloans.com, and he's going to give you the advice you need. He might tell you, I'm not working with you because I can't do it. Or I'll have to pass you down to this guy because he's in that state, licensed in that state. But he'll answer your question regardless. So go ahead and email him. Do you have anybody in Oklahoma, Zach?
I don't think so, but I can always find people too. Like I know like the right structure of lender to like get the best rate, you know, and that's actually something we'll circle back to the beginning. I hear a lot. It's like people even say to me like, oh, well, you're a VA lender, so this is the VA rate. No, you should really, you know, I mean, honestly, if I'm in a state that we're not licensed in, definitely we'll find you the person that's going to get you the best rate, because lenders are allowed to,
That's gold. Yeah.
No, I mean, it really is, because I see so many times people are just like going, and I hate to, whatever. People are going with USA or they're going with Navy Fed or
no, screw USA. They're convenient, but they suck.
Yeah. So, and then it's like, well, no, it's the VA rate. It's not the VA rate. Every lender is going to have a different rate for the most part. So I would say it is very important to. And it's crazy though, because you see people shopping, and then, you know, you'll talk to this lender, over like, oh, we don't charge lender fees, but that's why our rate's a little higher. So if you do this or that and stuff like that, I would say, you know, you're going to listen to people try and compete to get your business. Like it would almost be worth it just to, you know, give me a shout, and I can save you a lot of time and just point you in the best direction, because it can get pretty confusing. I mean, I deal with it all the time. It's different lenders trying to pitch things different ways and show people how they're beating me when they're really not, you know. But anyway, side note.
No, right. That's a good point, because Juan even said, I don't know if you saw that in the thread. He's like, I'm thinking about going to a credit union because they have the best rates usually, don't they? So Juan, I'm gonna text you after the show. I'm gonna email Zach and it'll all be good.
Yeah, I think I can help you out. I mean, like Navy Fed's a credit union, and I smoke them. There's credit unions on the island, and I've never lost to one of them, like outright. Like I've literally lost loans just because the other guy just like explains it in such a way that I'm like, I'm not, you know, like they're either telling them the wrong thing or whatever. I mean, I might lose like one loan a quarter ish, but generally, like I'll definitely be able. Credit union is not always the best rate. They can be better than some people, but there's different structures of lending that can get you a better rate. Like for instance, like we originate your loan, we don't charge you anything, and then we sell it, right? So some people at credit unions or big banks, they'll actually charge you. They're allowed to charge you up to 1% of your purchase price, which if you're buying a $200,000 loan, it looks like a $2,000 charge. Doesn't look that bad, but that's $2,000 that you don't necessarily have to pay. So, and then even like my pricing, like I have access to 50 banks pricings, where some people just have their pricing, right? So there's definitely a lot of ways you can skin the cat, and it's not just the first person you talk to is who you want to go with, but you also need someone that understands how to read the loan documents to tell you, hey, this guy's the best or this guy's not. So.
Right. Hey, that's great. Yeah. So again, guys, if you have any questions, any concerns, just email Zach. All right. And again, it's free advice. I can talk about our competitors as far as other mortgage sources that, you know, wanted to be a part of Veteran Trash Talk, but I didn't trust them. They haven't been verified by us, so we didn't bring them on. Because again, we'll just tell it frankly, this is obviously the key audience for Veterans Mortgage Source, and he's going to help you for free. He's one of the few guys that'll do that. Now, when you get the loan, it's not going to be free, but like it's going to be the best deal you're going to get. Right. And he's going to help. Like he said, he's going to be able to research it, explain it to you. So go on there and ask him. And hey, Chris, our producer in the background there, he's also a Marine. So I don't know if he fell asleep, but anybody on Groundworks asking any questions? Groundworks is pretty quiet. All right. And the Stone Vet said he just sent you an email. All right. Well, I guess, Zach, any closing words for the future millionaires out there that utilize their VA loan benefit properly before I close it out? Yeah, no, I'd say just I think we've covered some pretty good some
stuff up to this point. So definitely check out the YouTube channel and see kind of, we've talked about qualifying for a loan. We've talked about, the VA funding fee, all sorts of good stuff. So, before you're doing a loan, make sure you get educated. We do have a national webinar. We have state specific webinars. So if you're buying in certain states that we're licensed in, we have a webinar that's going to walk you through flash to bang specific to your state, the different lending laws and stuff like that. We have a more generic national one. So I'd highly recommend, if you're in the military, you watch that webinar. I guarantee it'll be worth your time. You'll get something out of it. And then you'll go into, probably the biggest purchase of your life, well prepared, which you should be, well prepared. So.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, I'm thankful that I bought property when I was younger in the Army and continue to buy it while I've been in the Army. And it's, sometimes it just takes a guy or girl to say, hey, you should do this. Right. And again, buying a home is terrifying. However, if you're in the military, it's not. Right. Your VA loan is guaranteed up to what, 80, 90%? And that the guarantee on the VA loan, like, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's guaranteed at like 90% for like foreclosure.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's weird calculations of different things. Right. But yeah, I mean, you're basically, if you foreclose on a VA loan, you end up owing the VA money, not the bank. But then it's gonna be much less. Like, I had one guy that he had a foreclosure and part of his entitlement was charged, and then I submitted some paperwork, and then the VA just gave him his entitlement back. I'm not like going out there being like, hey, you get it. And then I had one guy he ended up owing it was like 50 grand. It cost the VA the foreclosure, and he ended up only having to pay him 10. So It's much to get that cleared up. So it's much better than having a bank dangle that over your head for a while. But it is a great tool. And then that's also why the VA loan is the best interest rates on the market, because it's the highest performing market and it's insured by the federal government. So.
Before we go, hey, Megan. Megan says, can you wrap closing costs into the loan with the interest rates adjusting to accommodate?
Okay. Yes and no. There's different parts of that question that were right and wrong. So the only closing cost you can wrap into your loan is your VA funding fee. So depending on your purchase price and the market you're purchasing in, I might recommend doing it or not doing it, and why I recommend people do roll that into the loan. And then the way that you cover closing costs with your VA loan is you take a higher interest rate, and then that higher interest rate will generate a credit from the lender, and that will cover your closing costs. So I can give a real quick mathematical example. If your closing costs are $5,000 and 3% is the par interest rate, meaning you're not paying for the interest rate. Your mortgage on a $500,000 house, your mortgage payment might be like $2,500. 3.25%, you might give you like a $2,500 lender credit, and then the mortgage price would probably be like $2,550. So you're paying $50 more, but you're not paying $2,500 in closing costs. Or you might be able to lock it like a 3.5%. Your mortgage payment might go up to $2,600, but then you'll have no closing costs. So I always do no cost loans because I know I'm going to refi it. So basically what you do is you take the difference in closing costs, divide it by the difference in monthly payment, and then you'll have the number of months it takes to make sense. But a lot of the loans I do are no cost loans. They take a higher interest rate. That way they don't have to pay the closing costs.
All right, perfect. Hey, just a big shout out to our sponsors, which is obviously the Veterans Mortgage Source. That's why they're doing this, to help out veterans as much as they can. And then also 10th Mountain Bourbon. So go to 10th Mountain and put in the code VTT and get yourself a discount. And then go to our store, shop.veterantrashtalk.com or gruntworksclothing.com and put in the code VTTGW and get a discount. Go to veterantrashtalk.com. Zach's all of his info is on there. And then, hey, Megan's asking, are you licensed in Arizona? And I was just going to say that. I was like, hey, if you are buying a house and you're near the field, any house, and you're a veteran, go on the chat thread, hit up Megan, say, hey, I want to buy a house. Help me out. Okay. And she will. She's a phenomenal realtor. And then also Zach. All right, we got them all covered. We got the loan and we got the realtor. So go to Megan, go to Zach, and you're going to get taken care of. And then if you don't, message Veteran Trash Talk, and then I'll slap around Zach. Can't slap around Megan, but I doubt. I doubt it's gonna, you're gonna be really, really happy if you go to Megan and Zach. So I'm just saying that you're gonna be extremely happy. But other than that, but you are certified in Arizona.
One of my team members is. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So maybe you need to hit up Meg and Zach and see, maybe get that going, that whole thing, and see what you guys can work out. So networking, that's what we do here at Veteran Trash Talk. Taking care of each other. All right, so Saturday, there's no UFC fights on Saturday again. All right, so we'll come on Saturday morning and we'll do the Big Earls NFL locks. It's the last week of the season. I usually make a lot of money in the last week of the season, so you might want to check it out. It's actually real easy to bet because there's teams that are just going to throw in the towel and get mollywopped by some team that has to make the playoffs. So it's actually pretty simple. Vegas is getting a little wise to it. And then we have retired Major General, all right, Martin coming on, and he is going to talk about mental health issues that he faced while in the military as a general and how he is trying to combat the stigma of not talking about it in key leadership positions. And so he's going to come on and talk about it. It's going to be a great show. So Zach, had a pleasure having you on. I'll give you the last word before Chris shuts us off.
Do your research, buy a house, stop wasting your BH.